Evoke is a new vocal processing plugin from Minimal Audio. It goes beyond traditional pitch correction and vocoding techniques, using advanced synthesis and vocal modeling, which allow you to transform vocals in ways you never have before. In this video, I go over its features and show you how you can use resynthesis in your own productions. Before we begin the walkthrough, let's take a moment to listen to Evoke in action.
Feel you close, feel you close. Feel you close, feel you close. You got me lost inside your sound. You got me lost inside your sound.
Resynthesis is the process of breaking down a sound into its core elements and using that information to power a synthesizer to resynthesize the signal. By breaking sounds down into their core elements of pitch, spectral envelope, and timbre, we're able to further manipulate these attributes before finally resynthesizing the audio. This allows you to transform sounds in ways which isn't possible with traditional processing. Evoke includes multiple views, each one focused on a different part of the resynthesis process. Let's take a look at those before we dive in. When you first open the UI, the keyboard panel is the place to start. Here you can set the global scale and pitch tracking so that everything stays locked to your project key. Next is the resynth view. This is where the core resynthesis, vocal modeling, and tuning controls live, the heart of how Evoke transforms your sound. Alongside that, you'll find the effects view. Evoke includes a fully featured effects rack where you can load, reorder, and chain effects however you'd like. Each effect also has its own sub-presets, making it quick to dial in a sound. At the bottom, you'll see the dry-wet control. Here you can also access the dry retune option. We'll dig deeper into retuning later in the walkthrough. On the top, the global modes let you change how Evoke responds to input. You'll see options for pitch track, MIDI instrument, and external. We'll cover each of these modes in more detail later. Up top, the toolbar includes tooltips, account settings, update notifications, and preset management like saving and loading random presets, as well as accessing additional settings. Finally, the preset library gives you quick access to packs, tags, and search. This makes it easy to browse sounds or find something specific for your track. Evoke comes with a vast amount of presets suitable for everything from gentle enhancements to complete transformations. Now that we've covered Evoke's workflow and navigation, let's dive into using it. The keyboard panel contains all the global scale and input utility controls. These settings guide the pitch tracking and harmonization and ensure Evoke is perfectly tuned for your input material. Start by setting your root note and scale type. You can also adjust the reference pitch if needed. By default, it's A4 at 440, but you can change it to match alternate tunings. The keyboard lets you customize your scale even further. Click to enable or disable notes and watch as Evoke gives you real-time feedback on the detected pitch. Next is the pitch range. This helps stabilize detection by focusing on low, mid, or high ranges, or you can keep it on full. While audio is playing, Evoke will even suggest the best range for your source. At the bottom are the input controls. Use these for quick gain staging or to clean up noise with the input gate. It's a simple way to keep your signal clear before resynthesis begins. Finally, the lock button keeps your keyboard settings consistent across presets. Since these controls are tied to your input signal, locking them ensures your scale and setup stay the same as you explore different sounds. With these settings in place, Evoke is perfectly tuned to your track and ready for resynthesis. Now that we've covered Evoke's keyboard panel, let's take a look at the core processing and sound generation. The resynth view is where the magic really starts to happen. At the core of Evoke is the resynthesis engine. At the center is the spectrum display, a vocal modeling view that shows the current spectral envelope. You can also click and drag directly on this display to shape the response, which we'll explore in more detail in a moment. On the left is the character section. Here you can shape how the resynthesized voice feels at its core. Mode switches between different character algorithms, from natural vocal timbres to more synthetic ones. Shape and color lets you sculpt the harmonic profile, shifting the tone from soft and rounded to bright and cutting. Width adjusts stereo spread, giving you control over how wide or focused the voice feels. Breath blends in a noise component for added realism or texture. And detune offsets the tuning slightly for chorusing and thickness. Together, these parameters let you dial in anything from an authentic lead vocal to a stylized synthetic identity. Just below is the voice harmonization section, where you can create harmonies and layered textures directly inside Evoke. You can enable up to 4 voices, each with its own interval and octave shift, and choose whether they follow the scale or lock to a fixed tuning. Each voice also has level and pan controls, so you can balance and spread them in the stereo field. Together, this makes it easy to build harmonies, wide layers, or even full vocal ensembles from a single input. The retune area controls how tightly Evoke tunes your vocal and thus resynthesized output. Amount sets how strongly notes are pulled into tune. Speed controls how quickly that tuning kicks in, from natural correction to the more robotic hard tuning sound. And glide is something new. It enables instant hard retuning, but then adds control over the transition, letting one pitch flow into the next. This makes retuning feel more musical and expressive, especially on melodic lines or when sliding between harmonies. The modeling section gives you detailed control over the resynthesized voice. Resolution sets how precisely Evoke tracks and resynthesizes the signal. Higher settings capture more detail for clarity, while lower settings smooth things out for a softer, more synthetic feel. Formant shifts the tonal quality of the voice, letting you move between deeper, darker tones and brighter, more energetic textures without changing pitch. Blur blends harmonics together, softening sharp details and creating a more diffuse atmospheric quality. Together, these parameters let you move from a natural voice reproduction to stylized synthetic textures, shaping the clarity and tone of the voice to fit your production. Next is the freeze area. With the freeze button, you can capture a moment of the input and hold it. Retrigger options let you loop that frozen state rhythmically, with control over retrigger mode, retrigger rate, and even modulation of the freeze itself. Finally, let's come back to the spectrum. Click and drag directly to reshape the spectral envelope. Shift-click resets your edits, and Option-click lets you edit just the odd or even harmonics. The control bar above the display adds even more possibilities. You can disable the spectrum, randomize it, reset it, generate a basic shape, or invert the curve. And once you've drawn your own shape, you can refine it further with tools for tilt, shift, and scale, making the spectrum a powerful, hands-on way to sculpt your sound. Next up, let's take a look at Evoke's effect view. You can load up to 12 reorderable effects and repeat the same effect multiple times. We've designed the effect rack to be useful for everything from subtle polish to full-on creative transformations. To add an effect, navigate to the selector panel. Here you'll find all of Evoke's effects, including chorus, compression, distortion, delay, equalizer, filter, reverb, and shifter. Each effect has its own drop-down menu where you can load and save presets, remove or swap effects. Chorus adds up to 4 voices of detuning. It can thicken a vocal into lush stereo unison, create shimmering modulation, or add subtle width that blends naturally into a mix. The compressor features up to 3 bands of control. Use it for gentle enhancement, tight vocal glue, or extreme OTT style processing. The depth control scales the overall compression, and command-clicking a band lets you disable upward or downward compression for precise shaping. The distortion is analog-inspired with built-in filtering. It ranges from smooth harmonic saturation to aggressive tube-style drive and complete sonic destruction, perfect for pushing vocals into synth-like territory. Delay creates stereo echoes with tempo sync, filtering, and built-in ducking. The ducking keeps the delays clear of the main vocal, so the echoes add depth without muddying the mix. The equalizer offers 4 bands of clean, transparent shaping. Use it to cut problem frequencies, boost presence, or sculpt the vocal before it hits the rest of the chain. The filter is a morphing design with stereo offset. It can create sweeping transitions, resonant peaks, or rhythmic filter movement, and stereo offsetting opens up wide, animated textures. The reverb is lush and spacious, with built-in filtering and ducking. This means you can add atmosphere while keeping the vocal up front, perfect for blending space without losing clarity. Finally, the shifter combines frequency shifting, ring modulation, and amplitude modulation. It can generate metallic tones, barber pole phasing, auto panning, or complete transformations that push a voice far beyond the familiar. Together, these tools make the effects view a powerful stage for shaping sound, whether you're enhancing a vocal or pushing it into experimental territory. Now that we've covered Evoke's core processing capabilities, let's take a look at how we can take things even further. Evoke features the same powerful modulation system as our other flagship products, Current and Rift. You can use it to add depth and movement to any patch. Evoke's modulation system supports both drag-and-drop assignments and a full modulation matrix, giving you flexible ways to add motion and depth to your sounds. On the left are the macros. Macros can control many parameters at once, making it easy to build complex, expressive presets. All of Evoke's factory presets come with macro assignments ready to go, so this is a great place to start when exploring new sounds. You can also rename macros to keep your workflow organized. To assign modulation, drag and drop a source onto a parameter. Use the small mod slider around the control to set the modulation depth, showing how far the parameter will move. Evoke provides 6 modulators, and each slot can have one of 3 types: LFO, curve, or follower. Swapping the type preserves your connections, so you can experiment freely. The LFO can morph between shapes, randomize, and retrigger via MIDI. Try using it to add subtle movement or randomize textures. The curve modulator lets you draw your own shapes and sequences. You can set grids, snap points, randomize, reset, and even undo or redo changes. Use it to create rhythmic modulation, like modulating pitch to create harmonic sequences. The follower is an envelope follower that reacts to your input signal. This ties movement directly to the resynthesized vocal. For example, you could make resolution respond to the input level, or automatically trigger freeze when the vocal gets loud. The mod matrix shows all your modulation connections at a glance. Each row represents a single assignment, showing the source, destination, and controls for depth, bypass, or removing the connection. This makes it easy to fine-tune how much modulation is applied or quickly disable a connection without deleting it. The matrix is especially useful once a patch gets complex. Instead of hunting for tiny modulation sliders around knobs, you can manage everything here in one place. You can also right-click any control to bring up a modulation pop-up. This gives you quick access to its assignments and settings without leaving the view. With modulators, macros, and the matrix working together, Evoke makes it simple to bring any patch to life, from subtle animation to wild expressive movement. While Evoke doesn't require any additional routing or configuration options to get started, it does offer additional modes such as MIDI input or sidechain in order to control the resynthesis engine. Global modes set how Evoke derives pitch and triggers the resynthesis engine. You've got 4 options: pitch track, MIDI instrument, and external. Pitch track detects the input's pitch and then applies retuning and harmonization internally. No extra routing required. It's the default and the fastest way to get started. MIDI track works like pitch track but follows incoming MIDI notes for scale and harmony. Great for locking to a chord progression or driving harmonies from a MIDI clip or keyboard. MIDI instrument bypasses internal pitch tracking and uses only MIDI notes to set the pitch. Input pitch is ignored and you get up to 8 voices of polyphony. Ideal when you want to play Evoke like a synth. External bypasses internal pitch tracking and sound generation. Use it when you want Evoke to process or follow an external sidechain audio source routed into the plugin. In this mode, scale settings and MIDI have no effect. If you're using MIDI-based modes, ensure MIDI pitch bend range inside of additional settings matches your controller. It's saved with presets and keeps performance predictable. While these modes might not be the best place to start, they're there when you need them and they unlock a whole new level of creative control. That wraps up our walkthrough for Evoke. For more information, please be sure to check out the product manual. Thanks for tuning in and enjoy creating with Evoke.